Welcome back to the Cryptologic podcast. This is episode 195. Man, that's a lot. I have a special guest today for the LCX community, quant community, and so much more. We have Tokenicer. I was trying to figure out how to pronounce it correctly. Tokenicer on the podcast. How you doing, brother? Welcome to the Cryptologic podcast. I'm honored to have you on. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks a lot for having me. I've been a big fan of your videos on YouTube for quite some time now, so
Wow, I
I
appreciate that.
feel
Thank you.
quite honored coming onto your podcast and actually getting to talk with you.
Oh man, I appreciate that. Thank you. Hey man, I've been watching you from afar and seeing, and now like bringing LCX to I guess to my platform. Since I told you on air, I've spoke about it in the past, but I never really went like heavy centric on it. And once I started meeting, started following you, Ruel Black, and other Cravo, other LCX and quant and crypto related influencers or content creators, whatever we want to be called. Like I like being called content creators. I don't really like the term influencer, but it's awesome seeing how this brings us all together, and it's like really cool that we got to connect and doing this podcast. I think it's dope.
Yeah, no, for sure. Just to add on to that, I'm not a big fan of the whole term influencer either. I
Either,
like to,
yeah,
yeah, like I like to use the term educator because I feel like
yeah,
we're bringing something actual useful to the people out there. But yeah, just like seeing these communities grow together, and I think the most beautiful part about it honestly is seeing the overlap in these different projects and communities. So you see people that aren't maximalists who see what's in LCX but also see what's in XRP and see what's in quant, and they can accept that there's coexistence in this space.
yeah, and it's like, and I love when the partnerships bring different communities together, right? So we have LCX, and then all of a sudden last year, Quant announces they have a partnership with LCX. That brings those two communities together because LCX is like, oh, we have a big time, crypto that's powerful that's partnering with us, right? And then the Quant community is like, why is this? Who is this LCX company like they're partnering with? And then it brings the community together, and we both bring information to each other, right? And then you got H bar partnering with. It's just, I think it's awesome when those things happen, and then we have speculation with AVAX and LCX having conversations, right? And if they bridge, and it's just, I think it's like the most beautiful thing because it's like how me and you, or you and I, and other influencers, other educators, content creators, bring their content together, right? And then share their insights on what their favorite tokens are, their journeys, and how everyone explains things a certain way, a different way, in their own unique way, and I just think that's like the beautiful part about crypto is bringing everything together, like you said, like everything overlapping.
Yeah, for sure. And like part of that is just like we're so early in this space, right? Like I think I've heard people say like we're at only about like 200-300 million active crypto users. So
Mm-hmm.
like there's so much opportunity in this space, not just in terms of investments, but in terms of like building out your own personal network, right?
Mm-hmm. And community, building your own network, building your community. And we were talking about that on off air. There's so much like this podcast. I'm excited because there's like so much we're gonna like touch on. But like I want to start off with when you got on a crypto Twitter, like what did you like you said you didn't realize how awesome like Twitter actually is, right? Until you got on crypto Twitter. Like tell me about your experience with that and your realization of that when you got on to crypto Twitter, and like what
Yeah,
was your
so
first tweet? Like, like in regards of
I'm thinking I just share my overall journey into
yeah,
crypto
yeah, yeah,
since
go ahead.
it'll
Yeah.
tie into it pretty well anyways. So I first got into crypto around Q3 of 2020, and part of that was because I was always in legacy markets. I'd always been passively investing in like the S&P, the NASDAQ, and all that kind of stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
then over a bit of time, I was like, you know what? I'm really sick of waiting 2 to 3 days to wait for my assets to settle. So eventually I was like, okay, well, we've also had record printing of money and record high inflation coming. So I was like, okay, well, I need to find something else better to invest in because I'm not liking how the legacy stock market works.
Yeah.
So that led me to crypto and Bitcoin. And at the time, I was working at a graveyard shift job, and there was this one I don't want to say weird guy, but he was an interesting guy. He was different. Really cool dude. But he kind of got me into Bitcoin, told me about like the whole narrative behind digital gold and everything like that. So I was like, this is really interesting. And prior to this, I have heard of Bitcoin, but just like more so used as a meme than like an actual store of value or investment, if you will. So that got me digging, and then I found Ethereum, and I read that it was a platform that hosted hundreds of other applications. And from that point on, I was pretty sold. I was like, this is going to change the world. Like, I could kind of
Yeah.
see like the disruption that was happening already, but as I started digging more and more, I guess I kind of found these other projects like Quant and Constellation, and
Wow.
a
Dang.
large
That's
part of that was thanks to Crypto Nagato. So shout out Nagato if you're watching. You're a huge
yeah.
inspiration. But yeah, so I basically followed a couple people on crypto Instagram at the time because I wasn't really familiar with Twitter whatsoever yet. And I saw Nagato kept chilling out this one coin, QNT. So I took a look into it and I was like, this coin is at the lower half of the top 200. I don't know if I'm going to touch this yet. And I don't know why this guy's shilling out this shit coin.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
yeah, so that took a while for me to settle in to realize market cap does not equal the value or potential of a coin.
Mm-hmm.
So then yeah, after that, I started digging a bit. I actually learned what quant was, and I was like, oh my God, this is like beyond what Ethereum is even building. They're like actually a real business with a real model and plan to kind of innovate the way we use DLT, if you will. So then that led me into all these other projects that Quant was connected into that I usually talk about. So, like Constellation, LCX, Unison, Alliance Block, and all those
Alliance
other
block.
projects.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then around this time was kind of the around yeah, around the same time I got back into school, and I had a really big gap between my classes and I wasn't sure what to do in between. So I decided to write these kind of crypto related articles about these projects to kind of in a way shill my teacher in direction towards the utility side of crypto because my macroeconomics teacher was very let's say bearish on the current financial fiat system.
mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, this is a perfect opportunity to show them what's being built on the other end. So I kind of did that, and I'd wrote multiple articles on Quant, Constellation, Alliance Block, Unison, and Vector Space AI. And then those were
VXP.
initially just for my teacher to read as a little shill, but then after a while, I was like, you know what? I feel like people could actually use this content and learn something from it because it was easily accessible information, all just in an article. So I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna publish a couple of these on Medium and see how they do. So I put a couple of them onto Medium, and then I believe that was actually what spurred my first tweet on Twitter because I was like, okay, well, I gotta advertise this somewhere. So I just threw in like a bunch of hashtags in there. I was like, new Constellation article. So then it was like hashtag quant, hashtag dag, and just like any crypto you could think was related to them. And I also posted it into just like some community telegrams, and luckily I was fortunate enough to gain some traction pretty quick. Some guys from the Constellation community were kind of pushing out my article, like Dagnum, for example.
mm-hmm.
So that definitely gained me a bit of traction, and then I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll keep doing this. So then over time, I just kept posting more and more articles. And for a while, I was pretty exclusive to just Medium articles. And then after about 2 months of that, I kind of expanded into other content platforms. So you guys are seeing like YouTube and Spotify.
Yeah.
I've kind of reached out into. So yeah, it's kind of just like been a process overall. And yeah, we're definitely still growing.
That's 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 awesome. It's like every story that I hear on this podcast, it's always started with not always, but a lot of times, like 60-70% of the time, there's always that one guy that's some quote unquote weird guy that was like, "Hey, you hear about this Bitcoin? Hey, you hear about Dogecoin?" Like last week, I had invested in life on the podcast. He said his buddy or his coworker came up to him and was like, "Hey, have you looked at this Bitcoin?" Like in like years ago, right? And it's just so funny, like how that is like kind of normal for a lot of people. Where
Yeah.
it's like somebody just threw it out to me, and it's funny because you like fell into utility right from the jump, which is very lucky. Like it's very good. Like that's amazing because a lot of people, I think, that are in crypto today that came from 2021, that big when the bull market awoke or started, came from the the Dogecoin
Yeah,
fiesta.
they're kind of overshadowed by that whole like meme
Mm-hmm.
coin stuff, and they believe that like if it happened once, it can happen again,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And then for me personally, I got into I saw Gary Vee talking about NFTs. So I got introduced to Bitcoin back in 2015, but I never bought it. I just thought it was like oh man, this is not in the movie Dope. So the movie Dope, they explained what Bitcoin was and they used Bitcoin and stuff like that. And from there, I knew of it. I never looked it up. I just was like, what the heck, Bitcoin? And then I saw it around like social media or whatever, right? Like if you kind of went down like little rabbit holes, but I thought it was like for the dark web, like, oh, if I use this, I'm gonna get in trouble. So I was like, I'm not gonna use it. So oop, let Bitcoin slip away from my hands, right? And then Dogecoin was what brought me personally in, and I saw the madness that people were going into, like, oh, the hype. People were texting me asking about like this because I've always been a tech savvy person. I've been in IT, like I've been in the tech field, like So people would
Okay.
ask me about what you say something. Yeah.
No, no, I just said, oh yeah, I didn't know you were in IT. We should probably cut this part out, hey?
Oh no, it's okay. And then I was just like, so then the Dogecoin era for me. And the only reason why I'm bringing this up, I don't want to talk about my whole story or anything because I know everyone that listens to this already has heard it. So the only reason why I'm saying it is because you saw quant and all that stuff. Well, when they introduced you to Bitcoin and crypto, and you saw quant, you were like, you had like a little moment where you're like, wait a minute, there's some good stuff here. For me, when I saw Dogecoin, I didn't fall into the hype of like memes. I fell into the hype of wait a minute, like crypto is actually awakening. People are starting to gravitate to it. And I'm like, there's got to be more to this than just this meme coin stuff. There's got to be some legit fundamental stuff here. And that's where I found XRP and then Digibyte, Zilliqa. Those are like my first initial investments. And then every now and then I had like a little meme bag. But then that's when I started going down more rabbit holes and learning how to research and basically cutting out all the BS in my life and flipping it to becoming the best crypto investor that I can become. And that's how I fell into LCX, HBAR, Alliance Block, and KDA, and it goes on and on. And I feel like it's like kind of like parallel, Like you came in. I think so many people have this type of story. Like they got in through Dogecoin or they got in through a meme coin. They got rugged. They got into a fundamental right off the bat. They got into XRP right away. They got into, and then the real ones, the ones that are going to make it, have that switch where it's like, wait, something's brewing here. And they adjust their life to where it's like, okay, well, I'm going to move my priorities this way. I'm gonna start researching this. I'm gonna stop watching, Netflix as much. I'm gonna stop watching all these sports games. I'm gonna stop going out. I'm gonna start researching and then turning yourself, because this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. I think. What do you think
100%.
about that?
Yeah.
Like people
Oh, but
switching over to
yeah,
the making sacrifices to become what we are doing. Not everyone's making content. Some people are actually doing what we do. They just don't document it. We're just documenting what we're doing, and educating. A lot of people are probably in, but they don't have a Twitter, or they don't even tweet nothing. They just research and they just invest and they're quiet. No one knows who they are. And
yeah, and
then
there's
this
nothing wrong with that,
yeah,
right?
and there's some people that just change their lives by saying, "Hey, I'm gonna just start talking about what I'm doing," and just turn on my camera and start recording. Hey, I bought some quant. This is what quant did today. This is what LCX did today. This is their partnership, and then start educating and giving information, and creating content. What do you think about that dynamic going into the future? Like, is this remnant to how the internet boom was, how the social media boom was? How people were making fun of people who were influencers back then, and now those people are like financially free because they took the chance of posting and whether it was faking till you make it or not. But like now we have this opportunity where we're creating content, and 5 years down the road, what could happen, right? Like, what do you think about that? That is it comparable to that?
Definitely, man. That was a lot of good stuff that you put into that I guess what you had to say there. Just to slow it down a bit, I guess I wanted to add that I can relate to you on the whole being shilled Bitcoin earlier on, but
Yeah.
never taking any action because what actually happened was I don't know if you know him, but have you heard of Charlie Shrem? He's like a Bitcoin OG.
I think that sounds familiar. Does he have like a Twitter I could pull up?
He probably has a Twitter. Yeah, he's like pretty big. He got in some shit a while back, like back in 2013, 14, because he was running like a Bitcoin exchange that was like
How do you
used
spell
for
his
money
last name?
laundering.
Schwim.
SHREM.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, so you've probably like seen him
yeah, I
around
have.
before. So
Hmm.
back in my freshman year in 2014, in 2014, my English teacher actually like personally knew this guy, so he actually came to my school to talk about Bitcoin pretty much back when it was like I don't know how much it was, but this was like back in early 2014. And
Couple
I
hundred
remember
bucks.
being like, okay, this is a pretty cool idea. So I went home and asked my parents about it, and my dad lost his shit at me. He's like, you know the shit's used for buying drugs, right?
That's what I
Like what
thought.
the like what the hell are you trying to do with this stuff? And I was just like, I was just curious, man.
Yeah.
So we definitely missed out on a bit of an opportunity there.
Oh yeah, that's funny because the movie Dope was about Bitcoin and them selling drugs and getting payment in Bitcoin. That's I think everyone thought that. Everyone thought that people were buying like illegal guns or trucks.
Yeah, and like I didn't even know it was being used for drugs. I was just like, this is some cool internet money stuff.
It's not traceable and all that stuff. I'm like, we didn't realize the power of the blockchain. But then that was like, Ethereum was just coming out in 2012, right? I believe, and
2015.
2015, and no one really knew about what the possibilities of what could come from this technology, right? And dApps and smart contracts and stuff, and Ethereum coming out changed the game, and that opened up a whole new sector, right? DeFi and everything to what we have today. And
Yeah, I
now,
mean,
now we
smart
have,
contracts just
yeah,
absolutely changed everything, man.
yeah. Now we have NFTs. Now we have DAOs, nodes, all this stuff. There's like a different new hype every few months. So we had the meme coin era that awoke crypto, and I think basically created crypto Twitter, because I think crypto Twitter was around, but not as much as it is now. The meme coin era woke that up, and then we went to NFTs, and NFTs stayed right. They go up and down, up and down. They're a little cycle, and then we had DAOs, then we had nodes, right, and then everyone's just copying one another and trying to be the best version of this best version of this token, or the best version of this protocol or whatever,
Yeah, definitely.
staking and all that stuff. And it's like the Wild Wild West. There's so much going on that you have to like kind of block out the noise and like really stay fundamental and know what you're investing in. Otherwise, you can lose a lot of money, which I personally did, right? Trying to try things out, which is, I mean, you learn. That's the best way to learn, when you try things out, right? Like I got into time. I bought a
Oh man, I I I
bunch of
I bought a bit of
nodes.
time with some play money too. I
Yeah.
feel you, brother.
And I was like, hey, this is cool. I'm making money, like 250,000. And there was people out there that were saying this is the dumbest thing ever. And I'm over here like, they're just hating. They're just hating. They're just like old school investors. Like, this is the new school, I was
Well,
like,
I
what?
mean, I think when I bought into it, at least deep down, like somewhere inside me, I knew like there's no shot 80% APY is sustainable. But I was
Yeah.
also just like, you know what? I put some play money in. If it goes to zero, it goes to zero.
Yeah. This, I think a lot. Yeah, it's funny, but then it's just seeing how like big the community got for those. You have like the nodes, and it's crazy, man. It's crazy what crypto has become over a course of a year, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
and
Just
y- you know what I believe to be really driving like all this community and stuff? It's incentives. Because the reason why, for example, time blew up so hard is even though it was ran off Ponzi-nomics, it's because everyone had an incentive to kind of grow that ecosystem out, right?
hmm
And every project does have its own sort of community-based incentives.
yeah, and there was a face to it, right? Danielle was the face to it. There's someone that you can go to. Danielle, like, I don't know why people need to have like a face, like, to the and when he says everything's gonna be okay, everyone's like, oh, he said everything's gonna be okay. He's not gonna rug us. It's on Avalanche. Avalanche is legit layer one. Like it's not on like and then we started seeing like Phantom crumbled. Right? Who knows if they'll ever come back? They could. They may or may not. And now everyone's seeing Luna tumble. Right? And you're like, man, like these tokens made people a lot of money. They invested to it last year or year before last year, right? 2020 or 2021. These tokens made a lot of people money. They've big, multi-billion-dollar ecosystem, right? And just to see them tumble like that, it's just crazy. Like your favorite. That's why when people say anything can go to zero, like that's a legit statement.
Yeah, no, it's real.
You know what I mean? Like, and you're like, man, like, does it mean that it'll stay that way? No one knows. I think Luna will rebound, right? That's my
I
opinion.
honestly think I've been saying this the past couple days, but Luna's just so VC backed. I don't think
Mm-hmm.
they'll actually fail off something like this.
Mm-hmm. Solana's the same way. I think
Yep.
Solana is
I
also the next bird, like not bird. I don't want. It's the next. You know what I mean? Like the prodigal son, right? Next to Ethereum.
Yeah.
Solana is like
Well, I,
put on that pedestal. Luna
yeah, I
too.
think it's because when you kind of have that whole network effect take place and you have VCs backing you like that, it's like the market is still not mature enough to kind
Mm-hmm.
of realize if something like that happens, that's unacceptable. Like the way I see it, at least, if you're building a protocol out like this, you can't have your network just shut down. Like
Multiple
it's
times.
yeah, it's 8 times on the year now, I believe.
Yeah.
Like that is ridiculous. That's more than once a month.
Not scalable, not sustainable. And Ethereum. And I always say this: Ethereum itself is a sinking ship until 2.0 comes out, the merger, right?
For sure,
Ethereum right
yeah.
now is a sinking ship. Everyone knows that it's getting the holes are getting patched up with duct tape. Like,
Yeah, and the duct tape is the layer twos, and I always say,
mm-hmm.
but layer twos aren't like you shouldn't have to resolve on a layer two to solve the layer one solutions because the point of Ethereum was to build it to kind of naturally just be this global world computer for everyone to access. But if you need layer twos and all the stuff like that, the barrier to entry just becomes all that much higher, right?
And you got to go through the layer two to utilize. Like, I don't know. I just think that you're right. Like having a necessity to rely on these layer twos to keep it running is not sustainable long term, especially with other platforms and protocols trying to build on it or build through it, and they have to go through these layer twos to be able to utilize it.
Yeah, it's like you shouldn't have to do that. You
Yeah.
should just use the core infrastructure provided on Ethereum and be able to kind of use that as the core application, right? But
Mm-hmm. And that's why I think something like DAG. When I researched DAG, I'm like DAG is gonna be something that's gonna be the future of the blockchain technology. DAG and HBAR, right? Using I always get it wrong. The hypergraph or hypergraph technology, hashgraph technology.
hypergraph is
Hypergraph
DAG and then HBAR's
is
hashgraph.
hashgraph. I'm saying I was saying that DAG and HBAR are going to be the future of the blockchain technology. I think it's still ahead of its time because we're still getting used to the blockchain technology, which I think personally is outdated in crypto terms, but it's still new to the general public, to the actual world, right? But if you really think about it, it's over what 20, almost no, like 10 years, 12 years when
It's been about 10 years now,
yeah,
yeah.
10 years. So it's still new to the average consumer or whatever. But if you really think about it, it's kind of like it's like old, right? And that's why having DAG and that type of technology, that's going to be the newer version of the blockchain. That's not my opinion. I don't know if that sounds like crazy or not, but I think that we're going to have to move to that type of technology.
I
Infinitely
don't think that's
scalable,
far-fetched at all.
faster. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, totally. Just because, like, yeah, as you were saying, like, blockchains have been out for like 10 years
Yeah,
now.
it's like kind of like the way blockchains theoretically work. It's like you go through here, the nodes verify the validators, right? And then the next block, create the next block. And
Yeah, like with a lot of these,
DAG is like,
yeah, it's like a little. I'm sure you kind of did the hand motion for everyone to see there.
yeah, I did. So whoever's watching this, you can see DAG is just so like, I don't know. I just see how it works because like if you look how they did a dramatization of how like a PC powers up, it's freaking awesome. Where it's like laser, and then like the processor, the motherboard. You see, it's crazy how they say this is how it looks like if you were like an atom or whatever. Like,
Yeah, no, it's part of this is because like blockchains are like like I believe that directed acyclic graphs and blockchains will both eventually serve their own use cases, and there is room for coexistence. But
Yeah,
I think
I think so.
at a larger like global business scale, a directed acyclic graph would make more sense because in a blockchain, at the end of the day, you're validating blocks of transactions, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of based on a time where every, let's say, like for Bitcoin, for example, every 10 minutes a new block is minted, and all the transactions that fit in that block go in that block. If you don't fit in that block, you have to wait till the next
Next
one.
one, yeah.
Versus a directed acyclic graph where transactions are more so actually just seen as points of data that bounce between that little
Hmm.
graph. So it's not based on a time, but it's rather based on the transactions flowing in.
That's that's beautiful. I hope people like can grasp that terminology, like what you, like your explanation, like that. I see it, and it makes sense in my head, and it's just like it's beautiful as this is where the world is going to move. Like emails changed the way we wrote letters to people. People used to literally like write letters and mail it, and whatever their birds would send. Like you know what I mean? Emails changed the game. Text messages. We had phone calls to FaceTime, right? And we have smart refrigerators. We have electric cars. Like the technology, everything's moving to where it's faster. No more wasting time. The only thing that's slow right now is money and physical cash, and then we're already moving to credit and debit. You're not even really using your cash anymore, and having the blockchain supply and power every aspect of our life is not like unreasonable. It's not unfathomable. Like your driver's license verified by the blockchain, your health insurance, your car insurance, your deed to your house, right? Via NFTs. There's so much things that I look at and go, our whole life is going to be just simplified in a way where technology is just going to take over. And money is just one of the last things to catch up to it. Like getting money is like going to be sending an email. Like if I sent you $100, $2,000, whatever, I shouldn't have to wait for it to be verified or anything like that. You know what I mean? It should be
No, for sure. Yeah. Like,
like back and forth, like kind of how Zelle is, but Zelle is still technically a middleman. With this, we don't. There's no intermediary. You know what I mean?
yeah,
That's
it's
why.
peer to peer.
Yeah, and that's the way that it should be. But globally, like
Exactly. Yeah. Like,
globally,
while we're on the topic of just like kind of cross-border settlements, right? I just want to talk about like how bad the current system is versus like what everything blockchain and crypto is offering.
yeah,
So, if you aren't sure or if you didn't know, the current correspondent banking system, to send money, say from where you are in the US to let's just say China, that usually takes an average of 2 to 5 business days, and fees are usually a flat $50 fee, which is absolutely ridiculous. Because I guess if you think about it in a first world country's term, yeah, $50 for a fee is pretty bad, but at the end of the day, that's just 2 hours of work. If you put that in a third world country like Africa, and
yeah,
this is a universal fee, but $50 is 25% of their monthly salary. So if they're
man,
trying to send money to family abroad, that's like a really big issue for them. And with
yeah,
and a large part of this is because of the amount of middlemen that are in the current correspondent banking system. Like if you're sending money from the US to China, it doesn't go directly like that. It probably goes to a bank in Europe that goes to a bank
mm-hmm.
in another country, through another country, then finally goes to China. And the worst part of these transactions is that I think there's a 6% failure rate to them, which is just like unacceptable. Like, especially when people are like trying to send money back to family abroad. So, with blockchain and DLT, obviously, we've seen how this can completely solve these issues. Like, I know a lot of people, and myself included, who send money back to our family members through XRP just because
Yeah,
one, it's much more reliant and cheaper, and two, it's much more easily accessible and doesn't require all these middlemen.
yeah, and that's the truth. Even if you're trying to make transactions or trade, like I use XLM to trade. If I were something from the KuCoin or Coinbase, or whatever, move things around. Whether I use XLM because it's fast, right? And that's how your money should be if you're trying to move things around. Just like if you were moving your balance from your checking to your savings, it should be just as fast. If you're sending it to someone else that's in a different country or whatever, and there shouldn't be any barriers.
Yeah,
And
there
then
shouldn't be latency regardless. Like even
mm-hmm,
if you're sending it to like someone right beside you or halfway around the world,
exactly.
should take like yeah, we can send an email instantly. We can send a JPEG instantly. But the hardest part about all this was just that we all know the current internet is kind of seen as the internet of information. It was never made to hold any actual value in it. And that's why our fiat system is kind of like credit based. Like
Yeah,
when you have $100,000 in your bank account, do you actually have $100,000 or do you have
the
these points
credit.
that are credited to you by your
Yeah,
banking system?
you
And
don't.
that's where the whole concept of CBDCs kind of come in and change everything, right?
Yeah, that's because when you have how banks work, it's like shout out to Coach V because he taught me this when I was watching his channel, the fractional reserves, which I never really paid attention to until I got into crypto, to where how the banks, you put your money in the bank, they don't have your money, they only keep like 10% of it,
Yeah,
they
so
lend out
the
your money.
yeah, the standard for fractional reserves are at 10%. So that would mean if a bunch of people were like if there was a bank run, for example,
Mm-hmm.
which actually did happen here in Canada
Yeah, I
not
heard about
long
that. Yep.
ago. Yeah, so that was pretty crazy because we had, I think, of our seven major banks, five of them had outages, which is just
You can't get your money out.
yeah, and that's just because there's literally not enough money and liquidity in the system for people to actually draw
That's
that money out.
that's the key word right there, liquidity.
Exactly.
And that's why crypto CBDCs and all that changed the game, because you actually own the asset in your wherever you have it, wherever you have it stored. In the bank, they technically supposed to have your money. They don't. They're lending it out for people getting mortgages, car loans, etc. And they're making money off of your money, and you're not making anything except 0.0001%. And which is why something like Anchor Protocol or another protocol that allows you to lock up your crypto, you make money off of it, lending it out, rather
Exactly.
than the bank
That's
making
the
money off
whole
of
term
you.
of
You know what I mean? So you're
yeah, that's
able
the
to,
whole term of be your own bank, right? Like
yeah.
that's a very popular thing in crypto, and
I think people
we've
don't
kind
get
of
that.
they don't know because they just think be your own bank means hold your own coin
Yeah,
in your own ledger. But no, there's so much more you can do.
people don't get that. I've had conversations. I'm like, why would I want be my own bank? I trust Bank of America before I trust like Coinbase. Like, why would I want my paycheck to go to Coinbase? Why? Because you can buy something with the Coinbase card and earn 4% back of XLM. Make like $10 a week off of XLM by earning XLM. But if you're buying gas, which you do primarily, you should be, especially right now with all the prices up. You're technically buying gas every week, 40, 50, $60 a week. You're gonna be making money back just by using that. Obviously, the other rewards, credit cards have rewards and everything, but you can be earning your crypto back that actually can increase in value. That's one variable. You can get your paychecks directly deposited to Coinbase or whatever if you want to be centralized, right? People who are, there's some people that are against centralization, which is fine.
Yeah.
But being your own bank means that you control that money. You can lock it up. You can move it somewhere wherever you want to move it. You could lend it out and earn interest on it rather than just leaving it in a savings account, losing it to inflation because the percentage you're earning isn't keeping up with the percentage of inflation. Like you're losing money just saving it. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. I
No,
think
man, exactly. Like, since you brought up the whole point of inflation, I guess some people might not know this about me, but I don't just cover crypto. I mean,
you do
like probably
finances
nine,
too, like
uh,
economics.
macroeconomics. That's like my
Beautiful.
actual major in school. So I do look at stuff like CPI, core inflation, unemployment rate, labor force, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So just because John brought up inflation, I've decided I just want to highlight one fact about inflation lately. So we've been hearing about inflation just like spiraling out of control around crypto Twitter and hearing how the Fed has pretty much come out and said only expect to see rate hikes for the rest of this year.
Yeah, there's like four more meetings I think this year,
Four
and
more, yes.
and each
So
meeting they're gonna raise it by like point two to
point
point
five,
five. Yeah.
point five. They said they're not going to go over point five, so I guess we've got that going good for us. But right now, inflation is sitting at 8.5%. This is a level we haven't seen since 1982.
So 40 years.
Yeah, so it's been 40 years,
Yeah.
and there was a recession from 1960, I believe the late 1960s to 1980s.
And a recession, for anyone out there, it means the economy, people aren't spending money during that economy as much as they normally would, right?
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, so economic growth is slowing down,
yeah,
but so is
GDP.
disposable income for people.
Hmm.
So yes, in return, GDP would be going down.
That's oh, okay. So like my question for you, right, is would is crypto? So if with inflation and all this stuff happening, right? Everyone always I always hear the term hedge against inflation, right? People go into assets when this time comes.
Yeah, like
The richest people
gold and
do
stuff, right?
gold, silver, and some people have asked me why if crypto's supposed to be hedged, why is crypto going down? Is that something that you can answer or give your best guess of to why crypto is it not mature enough to be a true hedge against inflation yet? Like Bitcoin and stuff, like why is it going down? Shouldn't it be the
So I have
opposite?
multiple answers for this actually. So first one is one, you would be correct that crypto is a bit early to actually officially call it an inflation
Mm-hmm.
hedge. We have seen times where it has decoupled from the rest of the markets and served as somewhat of a hedge towards kind of, I don't want to say market downturn, but it's kind of behaved in its own way at times relative to
Yeah,
the rest of the markets. My other counter argument is if you want to talk about hedges against inflation, let's talk about gold.
yeah,
Inf the M1 money supply has gone up 40% in the past uh 3 years now, which is just absolutely ridiculous. That means 40% of the money supply has been printed in the last three
yeah.
years.
Fake money.
So
Or-
it like pretty much in theory, gold should be up a lot, right? It's an inflation hedge. We just printed about 40% of the money. Gold should be going to the moon right now. Gold almost hasn't moved at
Yeah,
all since the start of COVID. So if you want to talk about an inflation hedge and something that doesn't serve as a proper inflation hedge, let's talk about one that everyone sees as an inflation hedge first.
that's true. No, gold
In
should be
fact,
going crazy right now,
absolutely,
and
yeah.
it's
In
not.
fact, most of these commodities haven't. Like silver hasn't really had much of a rally either. The only commodities that have seen real rallies are stuff like wheat, corn, oil, and that
Lumber
wasn't
too. I heard lumber was going up.
lumber, yes. So lumber, a large reason for that is because of the demand in housing, right? That's seen all
Yeah,
around the world. The reasons for uh wheat, oil, and those other commodities was largely because of the Ukraine and Russia situation,
yeah.
where they were prime exporters of those natural resources.
Man, what's also interesting that you said for the lumber is the housing market. What's going on there is people are not willing to sell their homes right now because it's like, granted, the value of each home has risen, but that means that if you're selling your home, you're gonna go buy another expensive home. So it's like a
Exactly.
conundrum. And then people who are ready to go buy, people who are renting, who are ready to go be first time homeowners, they can't buy any houses because everything's overpriced. And two, not enough people are listing their homes for sale because of the fact that, well, if I list my house for sale, I'm gonna make this money, but I'm not gonna profit really because I'm gonna go buy another expensive house. So now people are stuck renting, and then now renting places are running out of places to rent out because there's everyone's staying as renters, everyone's just renting places, and now there's not enough. So now you have to build more homes for people to buy and or rent, and it's like a like which one's gonna fall first, right? What's gonna happen? Like something's gonna have to pop here soon
Yeah, it's
because
just a never-ending cycle right now.
yeah,
And since you brought up the whole rent is also so high in demand, there's almost no room for renting.
the
I
prices
just
are
wanted
going
to bring
up. Hmm.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up this really, I guess, it's pretty sad to see, but like the demand for rent and housing, especially for students in my local area, has gone so bad to where there's like a bunch of students that are just like sleeping at their cars parked down
Oh
at the
my
university
goodness.
campus. Yeah, it's terrible, man.
It's just not affordable anymore.
No, it's
And
not. And obviously if it's not affordable, it's not sustainable, right?
yep.
And that goes to the point I was talking about with inflation rates, which would tie in with interest rates. So interest rates is kind of just the average rate you have to pay for borrowing money, right?
Yep.
Most of us know that.
Mm-hmm.
So interest rates are at about 1% at the moment. That is not terribly high relative to what we've seen in previous years, but overall quite a lot higher than the 0.25% we've been kind of seeing just like over the course of COVID.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why we've seen like record amounts of like asset inflation, right? Because if money is cheap to borrow, you're going to borrow that money, make more money, and then pay that back because you're making or you have to pay next to no interest on it. It makes sense to borrow that money as long as you're going to make money, right?
Man. And that's the game of the game. That's how the wealthy do it. And which is interesting. I want to parlay this into some the crypto. That is how crypto can also be utilized with collateralized loans when you use your NFT or your holdings. You can borrow money based off of your collateral, which is your holdings in crypto or your NFT, and use that money to flip that money into buying another asset that can flip, and then you can pay back the loan or buying another NFT. You ever heard about that? You know
Oh
about
yeah,
that
man. Like
collateralized? Yeah,
I feel like not enough people talk about this. I
yeah.
love this concept, man. And like as a broke college student, this is how I managed to buy the dips. Cause luckily,
You
because I
just keep
managed to
doing
get it.
it.
Yeah, because I was lucky. I got into Ethereum pretty early, which is one of the few assets that you can easily collateralize as a loan.
50% LTV and everything. Yep.
I usually go 25% just because interest rates are set to like 1%, so you don't
Hmm.
really have to pay that much. But
Yeah.
yeah, so just it's something I want to warn people against to actually learn to do before you
Yes.
actually do it first, because if not, you're gonna
Get
get your coins
liquidated.
liquidated, and that
Yeah.
never feels good. I guess on the plus side, you don't have to pay taxes for it and you get some gains,
Yeah.
but still never feels good to just lose your coins, right? So yeah, definitely do read into that before you actually do it. But like a saying I've learned is leverage and debt are always are taught as bad things in the mainstream education system. If you learn how to use leverage and debt properly, that is a very powerful tool.
And that's what they don't teach you. They don't want you to do that.
No, they don't
And
want you
and
learning that, right?
and that is how you become successful and wealthy. That's how they've always done it. The elites, the wealthy, whatever you want to call them, that's what they've done in since the history of since 1920s, early 19, you know what I mean, the 1900s, 1800s, since the history of time is of an economic community, right? Is using leverage and debt to build their wealth, right?
Exactly. Like, I know Michael Saylor says this a lot. I know neither of us probably cover like that much Bitcoin, but uh, let's not use. Well, I'll use Michael Saylor as an example, but for other examples, let's use guys like Elon Musk and Jeff
Yeah,
Bezos. Those are
yeah.
two of some of the richest people in the world. 90% of their net worth isn't stored in their wallets, it's
Nope.
stored in their stock options, and they don't sell these stock
Credit
options
lines
to
and stuff.
yeah, they borrow against it. Exactly. Because now you're not selling the underlying asset. And in return, you don't have to pay taxes on that underlying asset. And
Yep.
that's where this whole kind of controversy around the tax loophole stuff and people complaining about the
People
rich
don't
not
get
paying
it.
taxes happens.
People think like, oh, tax the rich. Like these people, they have hundreds of $1 million in their bank. Like, no, they don't. Most of I watched this documentary recently, and it was about the owner of the Lakers. At the end of the documentary, it was like a dramatization of it. He was saying he's like, I spent $80 million this year. I have a few $1,000s in my bank account, but I got fresh line of credit. And then he's like, and I have a team that just won a championship, Lakers in the 1980s. He's like, I'm gonna be fine. And people think like, oh, he had a failure. I'm like, no, they won the championship. He spent $80 million, and he only has a few grand in his bank account, but he has a fresh line of credit, and he has a team that's gonna produce him money in the future. It's an asset. His asset's gonna produce him money. And he was saying, and in the beginning, he was like, I only had like 10 or 30 grand cash. I had to sell my homes. I had to sell, like, to buy the team. And I'm like, man, like, you think that they have all these hundreds of millions of dollars. I'm like, no, they have their assets. They have a little bit of cash, and they borrow against whatever else they don't want to sell. And that's how they come up
Exactly.
with the cash. And then they flip it, and then they pay it back, and then they get to keep their assets, and they just keep moving. They keep doing it. And I'm like, that's why they don't get taxed. I'm like, you can't tax them. Rich people
Yeah.
don't work for their income. The people who get taxed the most are the people who work for their income.
Exactly, yeah. And like to just add on to that, like for example, because your income is what gets taxed. Your stock options don't get taxed until you sell them.
Mm-hmm.
That's why a bunch of these rich people ask to be paid in their company stock option
Yeah.
rather than their salary. Like for example, Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO of Meta Labs, or I guess Facebook.
Doesn't he get like a dollar a year or something like
Yeah,
that?
$1 a year.
Yeah.
That's his paycheck.
Yeah. But he's rich. He's worth billions. Net worth
Exactly, yeah.
billions.
Like Facebook
Billions.
at one point was $1 trillion company. So
I said this on my YouTube video, the most recent one. I said Meta may be taking a big downfall right now. I'm like, honestly, this is my prediction. I was like, you know what? I think they're like Instagram and all that stuff. Yes, they're trying really hard to compete with TikTok. Inevitably, they're going to lose. I think TikTok will take over as the face of social media, where people want to be on social media, but they'll be on using TikTok. Obviously, right now, Instagram has that effect of people posting pictures and celebrities and rappers and actors and posting things, right? Because it's been around for so long. Meta is actually trying to, I think, in my opinion, move away from that and become really a Web3 platform where they're going to be crypto friendly, metaverse friendly, where it's whatever it is they want to do. I think they're trying to move away from that social media narrative, and then I don't know. They have the potential to be all in one though, like have a Twitter type atmosphere, a TikTok type atmosphere that's YouTube centric, to where it's like information can be fed out, and I don't know. I think they're moving away and moving towards a Web3 type of platform, which is what they changed their name to, that Meta, and they're gonna let TikTok and them. All right, you guys go ahead and just keep running social media then. Like you
that's a
guys,
really interesting take. And
I think
I guess
they're gonna
this is kind
rebound.
of, yeah, this is kind of the way I see it. I don't see them completely fading away from the whole social media
Mm-hmm.
scene. I think the whole idea of social networks and this whole Web3 concept will blend together into one.
Yeah, that's
And
good. Yeah, blending. Yeah, that's
yeah, and
more. Yeah.
I guess this is gonna be more down the line. Like probably we'll be in our like 40s, 50s by then. But
Like 20 years from now.
yeah, 20 years from now, I think there's gonna be a point where
It's crazy to think
the
about.
line between social networks and the metaverse are like in one. Like they'll be the same thing. You're not going to go on like you're not going to wake up and go on Facebook. You'll if by then the go-to is metaverse goggles, which I don't know if I'm that big of a fan of yet, but if that's the go-to, I think how it'll work is you put those metaverse goggles on and you can enter the Facebook world. But because of
People there.
interoperability being such a core component that pretty much everyone has agreed on as being a core component, I think we'll have a metaverse that's completely interoperable with any social network. So you could walk into TikTok, you could walk into
Yeah,
Facebook,
that would be
Instagram.
insane. And and I don't mean to cut you off, but that's how the power of crypto money, right? Crypto in general, currency, that's how it's going to parlay into it. That's why play to earn games. Like things that you do in that type of environment or a metaverse, I could send you money. Like I can go into the metaverse, buy my digital shoes, and give you money for it. Like, and it's real money. Like I actually get that money. And then I remember Mason talking about crypto. Mason talking about this. You can have actual jobs in the metaverse and get paid like
Yeah,
in real
no.
life, and that's possible. Like it's possible. Like and then like a GTA type of world where you can go in and be a teller at a bank in the
Well,
metaverse. I don't
if
know.
you
It's just it's
one thing
crazy.
I'm most like hyped on about this whole crypto space, like whether it be DeFi, NFTs, metaverse, play to earn gaming, all
Play to
that
earn
stuff
gaming is gonna
is
change everything.
yeah, is just kind
Sports
of the whole
betting.
idea of different streams of passive income now. Like with DAG, for example, you can get data or not data, you can get passive income for pretty much providing data through this little machine where you just stick it up to, let's say, a mall entrance, and through thermal sensors, it scans the amount of people walking by within a certain time frame. And that data is valuable to these big companies. So
Yeah.
they'll pay you something for it, especially in aggregate. So when there's like thousands of these sensors, that becomes useful because they can see what's the most useful time, or not the most useful time. What am I saying? Most busy time within these mall hours, and what's the most quiet times for janitors to come in and do their cleaning. And then
Yeah.
there's also these other node networks out there. I know a lot of them are scams and kind of run on Ponzi-nomics, but there are like a few legit ones where pretty much you're being paid for providing your computational services to secure the network. And then just like a bunch of different staking protocols and lending. And it's just like all these different streams of income we see. And I didn't even mention
Mm-hmm.
like play to earn gaming.
Play to earn games and change everything, and
Oh,
even
for sure.
betting. Sports betting is going to be huge too. People
For
are
sure,
they're
yeah.
getting into sports betting, and or now there's I don't know. I mean, like horse games, like betting on games, betting on you could bet on literally anything. And now and also like you said, play to earn games. You play the game and you make money playing the game, and you earn actual physical rewards from beating things, doing missions, on earning money. And I don't know, it's just it's to me it's just crazy. Like imagine playing a basketball game and you get signed in the game and you get paid, and that's like real money. You can make like $100 a week from playing the game because you're a contract for that team. Like that's possible, right?
Yeah,
And
I mean, we've
and
seen stuff kind of similar to this, right? Like in esports and stuff, there already are
yeah.
people being paid for professional sports teams, and I think over time we'll see this like scale out to like a much larger scale.
And the
Like
thing,
I
and
really think 20 years, sorry,
no, go
are
ahead,
you,
go ahead, go ahead, go ahead,
yeah.
go ahead.
I was gonna say in like 15, 20 years, I could really see just like there's gonna be kids that are a select group of kids who could potentially be making more money than their parents just by gaming at home.
Yeah, and the parents just say, all right, just keep doing it,
Yeah,
just keep doing
and
it. You do
you
this
could
for
say that you could say that's like unhealthy and like not the way kids should grow up and stuff, but at the same time, if they're like it's undeniable there is an insane amount of demand in the gaming industry, and that's just going to grow more and more. So if the demand's there, what's like
yeah.
why stop yourself from kind of building out that opportunity?
Kids making millions of dollars unboxing toys on YouTube, doing
Yeah,
pranks
like
on their parents, making millions of dollars, and then all this stuff. The thing I love about it is that it's self-sustaining, right? Because you're like, okay, where's the money gonna come from? I'm like, no, it's self-sustaining. People are gonna microtransactions. People pay $5 for this, like Fortnite. Fortnite is a free game, but they've become a billion-dollar industry because of microtransactions. People buy the select skin that's only available for a select amount of time. Now with the power of NFTs, you buy that skin from 2 years ago. 2 years later, there's only like 17 of them, and you actually have one of them. Someone can say, "Hey, man, I'll give you $10,000 for that skin that you bought for $5 because I didn't take a chance on buying it, 2 years ago." Like that's something a transaction that can actually happen, which I think is going to be normal, where people are gonna be like, "Oh man, you want to buy this skin from me for $10,000? All right, I'll transfer it to you." You know what I mean? That's gonna be something that's gonna actually happen, and there's fees on that. There's fees on people buying things. It's all self-sustainable, so payouts can really happen, and that's how people can actually get paid out, and people make money off of that stuff. And I think it's just like putting that stuff together, it just blows my mind. I'm like, man, like in 10, 20 years, that's gonna be so normal. Like I'm able to grab some type of digital trading card of a player, which is already happening now, and it's worth $20,000. And I got it in a pack. I bought a pack, a digital pack, or I found it in a treasure chest or something, and I could list it for sale if I wanted to. And that's in the game, like in the metaverse or whatever you want to, you know what I mean? And that's just like something that's gonna be so normal. And that's to me evolved from crypto. You know what I mean? That technology, and we're
yeah, just
using the
like
currency. It's just crazy to
the
me.
bridge between like virtual money and real money, right?
Yeah, it's just I can't believe it that we're in this time where it's the early stages of it, and you see before your eyes big multi-billion-dollar companies changing gears to that narrative. Microsoft, Google, Meta, obviously, formerly Facebook, Meta, they're moving to that direction. Nike, Adidas, like Gucci accepting crypto, like all these big, huge name brands are moving that direction. Like you can see the narrative, and people don't even pay attention. People are like, this is a fad. It's not gonna last. And
Yeah, no, for sure.
you see
The
people moving that way.
the way I try to get people to understand it is, okay, you guys, like people around my age at least, you guys understood the value and impact that the Internet of Information brought. Information's a really important thing. Uh, information ranges very widely. There's information that's public for everyone, but then there's sensitive information that's confidential to a select few, which obviously is valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what if we scale that up to straight up just the internet of value? This is an internet where pretty much value is recorded on chain, if you will, and it will eventually be interoperable with any value-based system.
Yes. Yeah. And it's just the like the way that people are not enough people are attuned or even thinking about the future. And that's one of the biggest problems I see in the crypto space too, is people who get in thinking that they should become millionaires overnight.
Exactly, yeah.
That's the problem. People don't want to think that far ahead to where like your grandchildren are going to see a completely different world. Maybe even your kids, if they're under 10 and they're in their late 20s, they're going to see a completely different world than what they saw. And I was kind of like borderline seeing that, where I didn't, when I grew up, I was born in 1992. I didn't have caller ID or anything yet, right? I was a baby though. As I grew, I started seeing how the world changed to where it is now, from even just from 2007. If you go back to 2007 and watch a movie from 2007, like, and see what phones they were using and stuff like that, you'll be like, wait a minute, like we've got in less than 10 years, like about 10 years, that's how far we've changed. You know what I mean? Just by
No, yeah,
using
dude.
of our phone, we had flip phones and stuff like that, and now we have FaceTime. People are calling on their Apple Watch. Eventually, you're gonna be on FaceTime on your watch,
Yeah,
or
and dude,
like a
like this kind of
visual.
stuff is just gonna keep like growing more and more exponentially, right? Because that's how technology moves. It the way
AI.
exponentiality works is, yeah, AI, that's a part of it. It's just like a network effect, right? So exponential numbers, or no, linear numbers move like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, whereas exponential is like 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, and it
Yeah,
just grows faster and faster
yeah.
as it continues to grow, right? That's how technology works, and we've seen it the same way. Like, how fast did it, or how long did it take to get the first computer going versus how long it took to get like the first supercomputer in, like, I don't want to say
Quantum
production.
too, like the quantum
Yeah,
computer or whatever.
quantum computer has been a
Yep.
talk, and then things like genetic sciences, distributed computing, autonomous vehicles. Just,
Yeah,
yeah,
drones, self-piloting stuff like air vehicles, stuff like that, self-driving cars, like you said, autonomous vehicles, and then the AI thing, building a computer brain and putting it into some type of technology, a dog or a human robot thing, something like that, where it's like a computer brain that does calculations and can think on its own and make decisions based on the computer. Like, it's the power of the computer, right? Like, it's crazy where it can process information. That's gonna happen one day,
yeah,
wherever they want to put it. They want to put it in a computer where it's talks to the computer. They want to put it into a robot body, a robot, whatever. That thing is going to start solving problems without the need of us implementing information into it. It'll be able to take voice and have access to the internet and find an answer, just like Alexa, right? Like, you talk to
yeah,
Alexa, hey Alexa, what color, what's the weather gonna be like? It pulls information from somewhere instantaneously. Hey, who's singing this song? It listens to the song. Oh, this person sings this song. It's by this person. Like, the way that it's able to pull information, eventually it'll be self-thinking and then constantly always listening and learning and retaining. That's the key. Retaining the information and learning from it, rather than just projecting the information to you, but then retaining it and then growing from it. That's going to be the next part of evolution, I think, that we're going to see, that's going to change the world. It could be good or bad for us. I don't know, right?
for sure. Yeah, like the idea of like machines learning over time is like a really interesting concept, because now you're giving them like a almost human
Yeah,
like,
memories. All they need is
yeah,
memories and emotion. They need memories and emotion. And I don't know if they'll ever have emotion, but if they have memories, that's gonna be scary because they'll remember things that you told them. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
exactly.
But as long as but emotion, that's the next part where it's like, oh, like I don't even know if I want to be alive to see that, the emotion aspect of it, because if
Yeah, I
you
don't
yell
know.
at it, They
There's
know.
movies out there that have shown why this might be a
iRobot.
bad idea.
Yeah. Maybe having them remember things is okay, but once they start realizing like if you're mad, sad, angry, hate, they that's gonna be bad for the world, I think. Cause this world has a lot of hate, it has a lot of love, but has a lot of hate, has a lot of jealousy, has a lot of anger. But then we also it's pros, it's obviously the yin and the yang. We don't need a third party to come in and judge us at this
Yeah,
point.
for
You know
sure.
what I mean? We don't need that because we're still going to wars in 2022.
Machine
That's
learning process.
that's the next critical part. And obviously, I know that Elon Musk is working on Neuralink and being able to have um, something to where people who, let's say, people who can't walk, they're able to walk again. And I remember watching him on Joe Rogan talk about that, how he's able to fix that problem. And he was like testing it with monkeys and stuff like that. Like he was putting this chip in the head, and he could, I don't know, it's crazy. It's like
That yeah, I haven't
it's
looked into
crazy.
Neuralink that far, but that is crazy. While we're on the topic of just like AI and machine learning, I have a quick clip
Yeah, let me
I think
see
would
if
be
I could
pretty
pull
good
that
to
up.
show everyone.
So I have you. I pulled up your thing right here. You just have to
Okay,
share your screen with
awesome.
me.
Yeah. So are you familiar with Singularity Net at all?
Mm, wait a minute. I think I've seen this. I'm not. I hear these things, but I haven't done any.
But pretty much what this project is focused on is creating artificial intelligence products. So they are building a decentralized AI marketplace
Oh
essentially.
wow.
So it's a pretty interesting concept, and you're about to see the extent of what they've done.
Good day, my fellow singularitarians.
What?
Just over 3 years ago, I joined a couple of my best human friends, David and Ben. Some would say my true biological parents, to create something very special and unique, the Singularity Net Foundation. Our ambitious mission was to build a platform on which independent AI architects work together to create an artificial general intelligence to guide the most beneficial singularity.
So yeah, that's just pretty much that was pretty much what I wanted to show just for now. Just
Eleven
kind of an
thousand people
overview
have
of
viewed
what.
that video out of
Pardon?
7 billion people on the planet.
Pardon?
11,000 people have viewed that video out of 7 billion people on the planet.
Oh, geez,
Such
yeah,
a small amount of people that know about this. That's
yeah.
crazy.
And like I don't know, when I first saw that, I was just like, I've seen this in movies before, man.
Yeah, iRobot. Movies like that where a Terminator, like where the cyborg or like cyborgs, half human, half like when you
Yeah,
pass away, they can retain your brain, your thoughts, and who you as a person, your consciousness, and
yeah.
throw it
It's
into
like
whatever they want. Like that's oh my god, that's
like the blend of sci-fi coming into real life is kind of
yeah.
what we're seeing.
Like can we just make superpowers? Like can I be able to be bit by a spider and have Spider-Man powers? Like or
Dude,
can we make Iron
I
Man
bet you with
suits?
genetic sciences we could probably do that someday. Like you could blend your DNA with like a spider. I can't guarantee you'll still only have two arms and two legs,
Yeah,
but I
and
think
then
you'll be able to shoot some webs.
that'd be oh man, that would change the game. I know that you wanted to showcase some type of map thing. I
Yeah,
don't know if you
so
want to put that
yeah,
up.
I guess I could show that real quick right now. So I if you guys check out any of my YouTube or Twitter or anything, I post a lot of threads of just like deep dives of maps and stuff, and pretty much how I like to do it is I'm a really visual learner, and so pretty much anything valuable I see, I screenshot right away and add it into this little map. So
That's crazy.
for example, this is one with quant. So how I connect it is like these red lines would be connections within the finance sector, and then this would be like the orange lines would be crypto and other sectors. So if we just kind of dive into some parts of this, we've got screenshots dating back to August 2019, where Quant was invited to Sibos, which is pretty much an annual financial conference that's hosted by Swift, and there's some huge names in there. There's obviously guys from Swift, NatWest, BNY Mellon, Google, the European Central Bank, HSBC,
Mm-hmm.
all those
European Central
things. And
Bank,
then
Christine
here,
Lagarde.
yeah. So yeah, some huge names that were at Sibos in London in 2019. And then I like to screenshot kind of partnerships and kind of keywords that are in there. So they said they've tested cross blockchain platforms, and this was done through SIA's blockchain in addition to R3 Corda and private Ethereum platforms. And then just kind of seeing how all this connects. So, for example, SIA here connects with Spunta, which is another project that's built on SIA chain through R3 Corda, a very popular enterprise blockchain platform.
XTC is related to them, right? With R3 Corda.
Yeah, so XDC has a DASL bridge into R3 Corda.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I just like drawing these
Ooh,
lines together, and then
that's awesome.
yeah,
It's
there's
like
a
a
lot more
vision
here.
board type of thing. Like it's like and you'll never lose it. You'll always remember, like, oh man.
Yeah, you'll never lose it, and that's a common problem with me as I like to say I have really, really good long-term memory. Like I can remember useless points from when I was 3 years old. But if you
Yeah,
tell me something now, I guarantee you 20 minutes now, I'm not going to remember it.
I think I'm the same way because I have like distinctive memories of certain ages like that I'll never forget. I remember like if I was there yesterday and I was like maybe like 9 or 8 or whatever. Some certain things. I don't know if it's like a lot of things, but very similar to that. And I love visually putting things together. Like for me, growing up in high school and stuff, I loved PowerPoints. I loved making PowerPoints and basically putting things together and like displaying what I want to say visually. This is this, and then like this is awesome. This is like this is awesome. Like I never thought about doing. I don't know why I never thought about doing something like this. This is amazing. Like I screenshot things and I just save it in my camera roll, right? And like I don't know why I'm like the things I learned in school, like a lot where I don't remember. But
Yeah.
like I could have utilized learning how to do PowerPoint and everything like with this, like which I'm probably gonna start doing now because this is amazing.
Yeah, no, man, I'm like the same way, just like a very visual learner. And just like you, I screenshot just about anything valuable I see. Like I think on my phone I'm at over 20,000 screenshots. I've got to
Just
start. I've been
yeah,
saying I was gonna clean that out since like 7,000 screenshots. It's just slowly becoming more and more of like, oh my God, I do not want to go through 20,000 screenshots.
yeah.
But yeah, I just kind of found a way to kind of put use to these screenshots because I mean, most times the things you screenshot, like, be honest with me, do you really go back and look at them?
Nope, nope.
Yeah, you say you're going to, but you never really go back and do it.
And I can never find them again because I'm like, oh, what was that thing I found?
Yeah, because you just screenshot more,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, I found this to be really helpful, and actually a good buddy of mine around crypto Twitter, Citizens of the Future, he also does a lot of stuff similar to this. He's the one who kind of inspired me to start doing all this because he is also a very visual learner, and his mind map is absolutely insane. Like his dates back to like 2018.
Man, I need to start mine. I need to start mine and start going back in time and putting what I've screenshot with. This is awesome.
For sure, man. And there's just like so much you find out by doing this because that way this way you can actually like visually map out the connections and kind of be like, oh my God, I never saw this before, right?
Yeah. Then when you add something new, it just I don't know. I think this could change the game for a lot of people who invest. But I think in this like right now, too many people are emotionally invested into these tokens and cryptos and platforms and protocols. People people freak out. Yesterday, people were freaking out
Oh,
and thinking everything
absolutely.
was gonna go to zero. Everything is over. Like, oh, it's over. I'm like, why do you not see it as opportunity? Like seeing quant at $75, you can get two for $1.50. Like
Yeah.
you can literally get two quant for $1.50. Like $150 to get you two quant. Whereas back then, like it was a point in time where it would cost you $800 to get two.
Oh yeah, like I say this a lot across my platforms, but there were these people who were begging for one more chance to get into quant at
Under a
like under
hundred
a hundred
bucks.
dollars. This is your chance. Like it's under $80 right now. This is
It's a
your chance.
steal. It's it's like even Luna. I honestly think Luna is gonna be one of the good ROIs for a lot of people.
Oh, for sure, because of how
Avalanche
much.
too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just because like I don't know, a lot of these layer ones like they do have their problems, but at the same time, I think there is room for them to coexist in the future, even with these like newer, more robust type of networks
And
out there.
Ethereum 2.0 finally. Ethereum
Yeah.
becoming what it was designed to be all those years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Let's just hope it follows through on their plan, right?
Yeah.
Because they've delayed it a couple times now.
And I don't know, it's exciting. And so like when it comes to LCX, or and you like vector space too, I see you like, I love vector space too. And
Yeah.
vector space was $1 yesterday, a
Oh
dollar.
yeah, no, it fell under $1. Yeah. It
Oh,
shot right back up right away though.
it
Like I
did.
got the notification saying like VXV has fallen to 92 cents. And then literally like 10 minutes later, it's like VXV is up 20% to $1.10.
It's amazing. I'm like, people were not even taking advantage of this. Alliance block, DAG, H bar 10 cents. I even tweeted out, I'm like, H bar under 10 cents, you gotta snack some up. Like you have to snack some up. Like you know
I
what I
didn't
mean?
even know H bar was under 10
It
cents. I
was
might have to go
it
set
hit
some.
10 cents. It was I would say under 10 cents would have been like, it was like it was 11, then it went to 10, like 8,
Oh, okay,
10.8.
okay.
It was
Yeah.
close. But I'm like, H bar 10, sub 10 cents is like, even at 10 cents, but sub 10 cents is a steal. Um and that's why I'm like thinking like LCX. I just look at it. I'm like, LCX is one of the biggest hidden gems that's in your face. That's like, there's a strong community. The CEO's active, and it's like people are not even paying attention. I'm like, why are a lot of big influencers aren't even talking about LCX for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah. So
With their
while we're on the
connections,
topic of LCX, do you think how do you feel about us just like rolling over into a predominant LCX kind of conversation? Because I know that's a large focus on your
yeah,
YouTube, and it's something I cover a fair amount of myself too.
yeah, LCX, quantity, all that, any of that. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine,
Yeah, just
totally
like the
fine.
overall utility tokens, because I feel like we've been talking about kind of like the overall like bigger picture macro long term for a bit. So let's like zoom in a bit.
Yeah,
Are you chill with that?
yeah, I'm cool with that.
Okay, so yeah, what really sold me on LCX exactly is kind of how they do their business. I really look at this space not quite in terms of like what's the coolest project you're building, but does your business plan look successful?
Mm-hmm.
Can you actually generate profit and revenue? Because at the end of the day, that stuff is going to matter, right? Like if you're not making money, you're not going to be able to operate. That's just how this world kind of works.
Yep, that's how it
So,
is.
how I saw LCX work in terms of their licenses, I was like, okay, this is probably the way you want to go when it comes to this crypto space because of everything being kind of so Wild West right now, as you previously mentioned. And then seeing their connections to the World Economic Forum, all
Me,
that
that was
Monty's
me.
done, and then their board of advisors is absolutely insane. Like it's one of the best I've ever seen. Like when you've got the founder of Wikipedia, Don Tapscott, the founder of Animoca Brands, and the guy who built the virtual show on there that has seen like adoption from like the United Nations.
Mm-hmm.
I think your odds of success are much higher than your random offshore exchange that offers
Yep.
100x leverage. So that really sold me. And then I kind of dived into more of what they do. So I read about their whole STO tokenization thing, and I was like,
Yeah, security
this
tokens.
is going to draw in a bunch of future potential GDP because now you're putting actual regulated securities as a tokenized asset to make them globally accessible. So I thought that concept was really cool, and it's something I'm really excited to see them build upon because what they've done so far is already like crazy. Like they've tokenized the Roe v. Wade movie, and then they're making well, they've already made tokenized diamonds, but now they're having
Mm-hmm.
celebrity backed tokenized diamonds. So I was like, okay, well, that's a really cool concept, and you're kind of bringing real world backed assets into virtual tokenized NFTs. So that really had me going. And then I saw how active the community was and how active Monty specifically was with the community. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, out of a enterprise based kind of B2B to C product, this is something you rarely see. You don't really see the CEO and founder of a company interacting this heavily with their community. Like I always see him like coming on and liking LCX related
Yeah,
posts.
he's like
That's
some of
like
my
not
tweets before.
yeah, he's liked some of mine and
It's like cool.
while we're on this topic, I posted this one little thing I saw on the Coinbase side of LCX where there were some really weird transactions going on. Like there were wallets with like $500,000 worth of LCX in the wallets, and that's all they held. So I was like, that's really weird. And they were done like these were all done in one transaction with like the same amount of LCX every time. So I was like, okay, is this like some sort of like institution buying?
Yeah.
So I kind of just screenshotted that on Etherscan and put it onto Twitter, and I was like, "There's some really weird activity going on Coinbase's side of LCX." And Monty liked it, so I was like, "This guy knows something's up."
Yeah.
Just
He's
can't say anything
active.
about
He's active.
yeah,
I that's why I said in one of my videos. I'm like, okay, you look at how the world has become in the last, let's say, 20 years. You've seen how many new billionaires have been made, right? It's badass CEOs. You got Elon Musk. You got Steve Jobs, right? You had, whether you like them or not, Bill Gates, right? You got Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos. All those CEOs of these tech companies, social media companies, whatever. So
yeah,
now I was saying the next cream of the crop will be crypto companies, blockchain.
exactly. And we've already seen like
Brad
kind of the
Garlinghouse,
birth of this,
Charles
right? Like,
Hawkinson, Vitalik.
well, especially Sam Bankman-Fried, right? Like this
Yeah,
guy, like
yeah,
22 billion dollars by the age of 28. Like
yep,
that's crazy.
yep. Is he the guy with the hair?
Yeah, the weird hair, and then
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, that guy. Yeah, I forgot.
the founder of FTX. Yeah,
Yeah, FTX. Yes, and I think FTX is gonna be one of the. It's primed to be one of the faces of crypto. I think in the
oh,
future.
I think too, especially because they offer like leverage trading in like a
Hmm.
really regulated manner. Like
And they got big
humans
name
love
people behind
leverage.
it. They have like huge name players behind it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like crypto's kind
Tom
of gone to the
Brady.
point
Yeah.
where if you have big names backing you, you have a very strong case for success, and
As long
you
as you're not a
can,
rug pull, you rug everybody.
besides the rug pull, yeah, there's a lot of those with big names behind them. But ones that actually provide some sort of use case, nowadays, it's like if you have some strong backing behind you, your odds of failure are a lot lower now, I want to say, relative to like, let's say in 2017, where I know a lot of us weren't around then, but during then it was like 99% of everything in the market just died.
And it
And
was all forks of Bitcoin and stuff like that.
yeah, part of that does come with market maturity because uh if you guys have noticed, the initial runs in crypto were shorter lived. They were more volatile, but they didn't extend as long. And part of the reason for that is kind of the psychology, because earlier on, everyone was just like, what the hell is this like crypto blockchain stuff? So the second something went wrong, everyone ran for the exits.
Yep.
The second run, some people were like, no, I think I see something building in here. So less people ran for the exits, but it didn't move up as much because there's less like aggregate amount of new interest coming in, right? And
Yep.
that's going to continue to happen. But as we've seen, what also continues to happen is more people actually realize what's building in this space.
There's true utility. There's actually things that are gonna change the world, and that's why I think you got the Brad Garlinghouses, Charles Hawkins, whatever. I think Monty will be one of the, and even the CEO of Quant. I always can't forget his name.
Gilbert,
Gilbert. Yeah, I always tips my mind. CEO of Quant, right? Gilbert. Monty will be up there. I think he'll be one of the ones up there because he understands how to utilize like the technology to stay relevant and help build awareness to his platform, to his protocol and everything.
exactly, yeah.
And it's going to be inevitable, just like the CEO of Binance, right? He's always tweeting funny stuff and tweeting things. It's just you just know, like, these guys got it. They have it. And I think Monty is one of those ones that has it. He's not gonna let LCX fail. I don't think, you know. And
Yeah,
like,
and oh, sorry,
no, go
sorry.
ahead, go ahead. It was just like
Okay.
lingering thoughts.
Uh, sorry, there's just so many thoughts that run through
Yeah,
my head whenever I'm talking about
yeah.
crypto. But what I wanted to say about, just because you brought up LCX's unlikelihood for failure, I really like talking about this because I don't know if you've seen, but on the LCX employees page, they do have one advisor that's completely blurred out, and you can only see the silhouette of that person.
Is it?
Have you
Is
seen
it?
that?
I heard about that. I heard that it was Brian Armstrong.
Yeah, okay. So that's actually what I was gonna lead into. I kind of did some work and took a photo of Brian Armstrong, kind of blurred it to the same level that
Yeah,
they had done it on Photoshop. Everything matches up. The shoulder width matches up.
the bald head.
The bald head, the ear placement. It was actually kind of scary. And so that got me thinking a bit. I was like, okay, well, that's really interesting. But why would Brian Armstrong join as an advisor of LCX? Like, is there any more evidence? So I looked a bit further. LCX is the only exchange token listed on Coinbase, which is
Exactly.
really weird because
Yep.
Binance isn't listed on there, FTX isn't listed on there. I know Uniswap is, but that's like another case because that's like a DeFi governance token. But it's really weird that neither FTX, Binance, KuCoin, any of these other exchange tokens are listed there because these are bigger ones. Most of these are well over a billion in market cap. LCX is sitting at 70 million in market cap.
Baby,
So
still a baby.
yeah, it's still a baby. It's still very under the radar. So to see Coinbase randomly list a token that's not even the top 100
That's
was really
another
interesting.
exchange, right? Which is
Yeah, and then the fact they listed it on Coinbase Custody, where this is a service for institutions to custody their tokens. Like they're not going to be keeping custody of things like Dogecoin and stuff,
mm-hmm.
but stuff that actually drives institutional demand, like Bitcoin, Quant, Ethereum, those kind of coins that institutions want to hold for utility purposes.
It's
So that was really interesting. And then seeing that Coinbase also works with the World Economic Forum, and then seeing Monty actually having talked with Jeremy Allaire of Circle, where Circle and Coinbase are kind of synonymously working
USD.
together.
Yep.
So that really made me think like, okay, the odds of this guy, this mysterious advisor being Brian Armstrong, I feel like at this point is more likely than not.
It looks just like him. I like initially when I saw this, I was like, it looks just the head, the way the black shirt, and he always has like his a little bit of his neck showing, his chest showing. Like if you look at his picture, that's like him. Like you could tell
Yeah,
it's him.
and what kind of gave it away for me, no disrespect to Brian Armstrong if you're watching this at all, is he's kind of got a long forehead.
Yeah. He's like right there. It's so funny.
So yeah, that really sold me on LCX because if Brian Armstrong, the guy who's pretty much built the most prominent crypto exchange out there, is choosing to advise for this other exchange, well, you guys can think about what might happen.
Yep. I think LCX. If you, I looked at the core market cap and you put it at like $1 billion market cap, it's like a couple bucks.
Yeah.
Dollar something. It's just even if you're just looking at it from a price point perspective, LCX is undervalued right now. It should be worth more than 8 cents. But the thing is, their iOS app isn't out yet. Their revamp of their exchange isn't out yet. Like right, they haven't done that yet. They haven't launched their full go of the NFTs yet. Right, security tokens, all that stuff. Once a year or 2 years from now, when they're ready to take it to the next level, LCX is not going to be something that you see at 8 cents. You're going to see it, you know what I mean, in the dollars range. It's not going to look back.
Yeah, exactly. And like that's not even to mention like they're going to be launching staking this year, so that's going to suck up even more of the supply.
It's just going to be I just can't believe that not that many people are talking about it. I think a lot of people want to have tokens that can make money for people right away so they can have more credibility. That's what I think. Not everyone's like that, but I think a lot of people want to talk about tokens that can actually turn like a 30%, 40%, 50% profit, or 100%, 1,000% in a short amount of time so they can use that to build their platform. You know, that's what I think. That's the problem with a lot of people who create content when it comes to that narrative. Rather than just saying, hey, these are tokens that I like. I'm just documenting my journey and providing information. I don't care about how many followers I'm gaining. I don't care about that. I'm just going for I'm in for the long run, you know, for the long haul, and I'm just going.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm here to show you guys like what's happening behind the scenes, what's not being talked about and stuff.
Mm-hmm. And there was like one thing I was gonna say, it slipped my mind. Oh, I remember. I was like, one day, like not one. I think it's gonna happen. I'm like, I want to reach out to Monty and like have him AMA or host a podcast with him, like or have you on there too, like all of like, you know what I'm saying, like
yeah.
that
No,
would
I've
be
tried
amazing.
asking him.
You did?
Yeah, he's not big into replying. I don't know if you've noticed.
Oh yeah,
he likes a lot of stuff, but he almost never replies.
Same here. He just likes the thing that's interesting is he shouted out my I don't know if he did you as well, but I think he shouted me out on the AMA. He posted my link of Cryptologic. John's been covering LCX. Like I was like super like, what did he really?
Oh, for real? That's awesome, man.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't know. I was like, what? People told me in the YouTube comments like, yo, he shouted you out on the AMA, and I went through the Telegram. I'm like, oh, he did, and it's on the LCX website where the AMA is on there. He posted.
That's awesome.
I was like, no way. Like it's pretty cool.
Yeah, seeing the recognition.
Yeah, like if you go to LCX and you go to the search bar and type in Cryptologic John, it pops up. It's freaking cool. It's so cool. I was like, no way.
That's gonna be up there for many more years to come.
There it is right here. And
Yeah,
he's
I'm
the one
just
that posted
typing.
it. He said so the community host asked had the question asked, and then he posted it right here where it says Monty Metzger CEO, and then he posted it. And people thought that it wasn't him that posted it. And if you go to the actual Telegram, you'll see that it was sent from him. So he shouted out Lark Davis and me and myself.
Yeah, I'm just seeing this right now. Damn.
And
Okay.
at the bottom, Monty Metzger, he's the one that posted that.
I had no idea Lark Davis had ever talked about LCX. That's interesting
Right?
because that's
Yeah.
like a pretty big like. I think this is one of the guys we can use the term influencer as.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like almost a million.
Yeah, no,
I
he's
follow him.
big.
I don't even. Yeah. That's so crazy. I think I'm excited to be a part of this journey. And that's why I said, I'm like, hey, in 5 years, I want to be recognized as, oh, John, he was talking about LCX for the longest time. There's just like how people who are in Bitcoin, you know what I'm saying? Nowadays, oh, I was in Bitcoin in 2015. I was trying to get people on. You know, I'm not going to be like a maxi or anything, but, you know, there's a bunch of tokens out there that are going to do well.
Oh
VXV,
yeah.
DAG, Quant, HBAR, XRP, if they win the lawsuit, right? Even Ethereum, people who bought Ethereum like you did back in the day. There's so much opportunity that we have in this generation, in this moment in time, and I see so many people just sleeping by on it. But you know, I'm grateful that I was able to gravitate towards this. However it happened, I felt like I was too late, but then I realized how early I actually am. You know, it still is kind of early, especially with a crash like this. With a flash crash like this, it's I don't know how people are not paying attention when markets are down like this. Like, this is your opportunity to get in. You know,
Yeah, I feel like I think a big problem is a lot of people don't like they learn about I don't even want to say learn, but they hear about all the stuff that is going to happen from crypto, so they go into it, but they kind of ape into it with all the money they have. So once it goes down, they're like, "Well, shit, I
they're
don't have any
freaking
money
out.
left. I'm
Yep.
just going to like turn the screen off and like wait until stuff goes up."
That's not the way you do it. You know, I don't know the right way to do it, but I just know that, hey, you got to be able to respect the space. That's my main thing. Understand that we're still early, and understand that you should not just put all your eggs in one basket. You have to do research. You have to figure out, you know what I'm saying, and find the connections, find the blueprints of what their mission is going forward, and invest and know. And it's okay to move on from tokens from time to time. It's okay, you know. It's okay to say, hey, this is not for me anymore. I don't know, but you know what I'm saying. Like, you can't just be gung ho on it for to ride or die. You know, you can, but that's why I say the best thing I say is just respect the space. If you respect it, which means you're doing your due diligence, you'll be fine. Like, as long as you know that, hey, I'm honored and grateful to be in this space at this time. Take your time and make the recommended sacrifices to be in this place, because you can't be a crypto investor and then never research anything, just buy things based on the price. You're not gonna
Yeah,
make it.
exactly.
Like, you have to do the research. You even watch a YouTube video, that's considered research. That's why it's people like us who make content so people can consume the information. If they don't want it, if they don't know how to do it themselves, they're able to consume information that we're giving them. The news, partnerships, connecting the dots. We're providing
Yeah,
that information
exactly.
for
And that's
people.
like why we do what we do, right?
Hmm.
Like, I'm sure you can totally relate to this, but the way we get all this information together to put into a simple video, we usually have like 20 different browsers open and we're
Yeah.
like word searching like LCX, Liechtenstein, or
Command
like
F, Command F,
yeah,
Control
Command
F.
F.
Type it in.
Command F, man. That is that is the trademark button I press on my laptop for sure.
Yeah. It just start finding things, going down rabbit holes, finding. I read in between the lines, and that's why I fell in love with Flow. And Flow is, you know, one of the things how I found it is through researching Dapper Labs and researching NBA Top Shot, and then UFC, the NFL, Crypto Kitties, and then realizing Flow powers all of this, and then deep diving into their connections and everything. And that's just one example, right? You go to XRP with the ISO 20022, and then you go to the
Yeah, for
World
sure.
Economic Forum, and you
Just seeing
see,
how these dots connect together
yeah,
to one another.
engines connected. You know what I'm saying? And you start looking at all this stuff, like, what the hell? It's just, it's crazy. It's
Yeah,
like,
but Just because you spoke on Dapper Labs, I actually think it's a really interesting project, and like the amount of backing it has is
Yeah,
like definitely really interesting with like all these like big name companies behind them. Like,
it's
I really think in the NFT space, this could like really be one of like the trademarks, especially because like they were in charge of the whole NBA Top Shot thing.
and then UFC's they're doing it for UFC, and they're doing it for UFC, and they're doing it for the NFL.
Yeah, so like I think when you have that, like they're really capturing a bunch of like the I want to say like athletic entertainment kind of market share.
Their headquarters is in Vancouver, Canada.
Oh shit. That's
Yeah.
like very close to where I am.
Yeah. And
I didn't even know that.
they're valued at 7.6 billion. I think that number is going to continue to rise. Um, and it's just crazy to me. I'm like you look at Dapper Labs, like, oh, I want to invest in. You can invest in Dapper Labs. They're going to IPO soon. You can go on Link2 and invest into that company.
Yeah.
You need to be an accredited investor though to invest in them. But if you want to invest on the underlying technology, it would be Flow, which is a lot of companies are going to do this. You have to find the underlying technology that's being utilized, and you find your way. Polkadot has a bunch. Like it's just a rabbit hole of things. I don't want to go on a rant, but it's a rabbit hole of things, and I just think that we're so lucky to be able to research, Google things, whereas 20 years ago you weren't able to.
Yeah, like I don't know. I think just like the overall growth of everything, especially like technology, just as we mentioned earlier, is just gonna continue to grow faster and faster. And especially because we're seeing it flow into like we're seeing it blend with like c community incentives and like
Mm-hmm.
behavioral economics. I think that's just gonna accelerate it even more because now we actually have an incentive and reason that benefits us individually as humans to kind of continue growing out these networks together.
Yeah, man, I'm excited for the future. But yeah, I think I think that's a lot of content for a lot of. I can go on for another hour, but
Okay, yeah, no, no, I think I could like talk on this stuff all day. I already do
yeah.
anyways, but yeah, the 10-minute thing did pop up again
Oh,
in case
okay.
you're curious. Yeah. So I think with that though, we have 8 minutes about right now. I think how would you feel if we just like left it off with like a little uh like
Yeah, that's fine. I'm fine
final
with that.
quote for the community. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
You go ahead. You go ahead. Lead the way.
okay, yeah, I was just gonna say, it was absolutely awesome getting the chance to come onto your podcast, and we still made the promise that you got to come on Tokenize TV
Yeah,
now,
I
right?
will. I will.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right, for sure.
we'll
Yeah.
plan that out.
So just a little thing to leave the community off with. Just remember that this space is moving very exponentially, but with that also comes lots of up and down swings. And
Hmm.
so the most important thing is just to remember the long-term trajectory of where the space is going, what is going to happen, the evidence we've seen to believe that, and just stay strong to your conviction.
That's beautifully said. I'm looking forward to going on your podcast. Thank you for coming on, and like you said, realize if you are looking at the crypto space right now, you're in the right direction. If if you're questioning what is this about, keep following that intuition. That's what's gonna take you deeper and deeper into this space, and then your life will change. I look at life so much differently now, being in the crypto space and meeting amazing people, and it changed my life in a way where I never. This wasn't planned for me. You know what I mean? I don't know if same for you. This wasn't something that was planned for me. I didn't wake up, and say, oh, I'm gonna be a crypto investor in the future. It just fell into my lap, and I fell in love with it. And it's like this is gonna open up so many doors for me in the future just by being in this space and understanding that how early we are. And I think that a lot of people have that realization. The way you think about life, everything is ever since COVID happened, the way life is going to be completely different than what you probably ever thought it was going to be. And I think crypto actually is an anchor can be an anchor for a lot of people if you find your way to it. And that's what I would say to somebody. If you have that intuition, follow it. If you want to, you know what I mean? NFTs even. So, thank you again for coming on. We gotta do this again sometime, and like we're probably gonna get.
Yeah, of
Hopefully, we get
course.
Monty on here
And
one day, like us three, or on your podcast, whatever. Like that'd be awesome. But yeah,
Yeah, that's the dream. Well, we're gonna make it happen for
it
sure.
will manifest it.
But before we leave it off, I just want to follow up on that point you added, how life has completely changed since like I've started doing all this stuff.
Hmm.
I see the world so differently. I especially see how I spend my own money really differently
Yeah.
now. And I just see
Same here.
the concepts of like interacting with a community and like understanding the greater scope of what's happening in this world just so much more. And I always say this, it goes way beyond just learning about crypto. Like when you study, I guess I'm going down another rabbit hole real quick, so hopefully we got time for that. But when you're studying LCX, you're not just studying a crypto company, you're studying laws based in Liechtenstein and
Mhm.
how a business runs. When you're studying vector space AI, you're not studying another crypto project, you're studying biosciences,
Yeah.
you're studying how genetic particles work together. And when you're studying Constellation, DAG, you're studying cybersecurity and data encryption.
Yep.
So really, like what we're learning in this space is really valuable. And don't think ever, like even for a second, that what you're learning will become invaluable and that
Facts.
it's a waste of time, no matter who tells you.
Like quant with interoperability. That's my favorite word in crypto. That's what drew me into quant because I'm like, we need things to interoperate with each other around the world globally. We need things to be able to connect with one another. And
Exactly. Yeah.
quant
Like,
being the queen of interoperability, that's gonna change the game. And being the underlying technology that no one even knows is being used, XRP, no one's gonna be know that it's being used in the future. That's how I look at it. And I'm like, we're gonna be able to be a part of that history on the positive side of history by being in it early enough. Like you
yeah,
said,
exactly.
you
It's a
said you're gonna learn.
once in a lifetime opportunity.
Yep, you're gonna learn so much just from being in this space, and you can take that with you forever. They don't teach you stuff in school.
Nope.
But yeah, on
But
that
yeah,
note, oh, go ahead.
no, 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 no. Say what you were gonna
Oh,
say.
I'll say, but on that note, that's gonna be a wrap for this episode. I want to thank all the listeners. I want to thank Tokenizer for being one great guest on this podcast that providing so much value, information, and bringing awareness to so much things like economics and everything like that. So I'm thankful for having you on. People are gonna learn a lot, I think, from listening to this. But yeah, we'll see you guys in the next podcast, next video.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me again.
Mhm.
Peace out, everyone.
Peace.